16 terrifying and creepy diving stories. Diving can be truly magical and surreal, and it's very true when they say you leave your worries at the surface when you go under. However, things can and do go wrong, and today we have a look at some pretty terrifying stories of forgotten divers and crazy experiences. Number 16. Narrow Escape. Ian Cole had a terrible experience while diving in Australia. The US tourist was in the waters off the North Queensland coast, and when he surfaced from the dive, realized the boat had left without him. He was on board the Passions of Paradise, and was left behind with only his snorkel and a huge amount of fear. Fortunately for Cole, a boat caught sight of him and managed to signal the tourist boat to return to fetch him. All that Cole got in compensation was a refund of his trip and a restaurant voucher. Considering what could have happened, that seems like a little small, doesn't it? Number 15. Too risky. In Texas, there is an exceptionally beautiful diving spot called Jacob's Well. As beautiful as it is, it's also very dangerous. At least 8 divers have drowned there thanks to false exits and silt that blinds them. A sad case was Richard Patton. He was trying to move from one chamber to the next when he got stuck in a false chimney and couldn't escape. Despite the dangers that divers are well aware of before diving in, they continue to do so. In fact, at one point, they banned divers from going down, and the divers kicked open the protective gate and left a note saying, "You can't keep us out." Number 14. Not such a lucky find. Often, divers hope to find something truly spectacular on their dives, but that wasn't to be for Reddit user GDWCIFan, who went diving with some friends and found a fisherman's glove still containing a hand. Strangely, there were no reports of missing people or any individual missing a hand. Number 13. Gone too soon. Yuri Lipsky was a Russian diver, and in April 2000, he was diving in one of the most stunning diving spots in the world, the Blue Hole. It's located in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, and there is an exquisite coral-lined sinkhole that's 394 feet deep. He started experiencing nitrogen narcosis, which is caused by the anesthetic effect from certain gases. People can suffer with hallucinations, confusion, and paranoia. Some people can survive, but sadly Lipsky didn't. There's actual footage of the experience, which is quite disturbing. Number 12. Disappearing act. This seems to happen more often than you'd hope. Another 2 divers were left behind whilst diving, and their charter boat went off without them. You would think that a head count in these types of situations would be mandatory. Paul Klein and Fernando Garcia Puerta were left clinging to a life buoy for 2 hours in the Atlantic Ocean, just 3 miles from Miami. These guys assumed there had been a medical emergency on board, and they would be collected promptly, but when that didn't happen, panic set in. Fortunately, a passing yacht spotted the hapless men, and they were brought back to land safely. Number 11. Gone without a trace. That's what happened to Tom Pritchard, an experienced diver who was working with a team to moor a line to the Andrea Doria, an ocean liner that sank in 1956. Pritchard was no stranger to diving and had over 1,000 dives under his belt. When the team had done their work and surfaced, Pritchard was missing. Rescue and search parties were dispatched, but he was never ever found. This wreck was also already claimed the lives of 15 other divers. Light at the end of the tunnel. Here's another story submitted to Reddit, which is truly bizarre. Make You Think submitted his experience. He said he was diving off the coast of Fiji when he had gone through a tunnel which led to a cave. In the cave, instead of the blue tint from the water, the inside of the cave had red tint. He says it's impossible to see that kind of color at that depth, and especially during the day. The moment they left the cave, everything was back to blue. So why was the cave water red? We're really not sure. Number 9. Separation anxiety. Over in Bali in Indonesia, an entire dive group got separated from their instructor for 28 hours. 7 people were out diving, and it's thought that bad weather was the cause of the separation. 5 Japanese women and 2 instructors were floating in the open water for all those hours, and sadly, 1 didn't make it. The big issue came up when it was discovered that the company who took the people out had an expired operating permit, and should technically not have been allowed to do so. Number 8. Cashing in. Dick Neely from Britain and Alison Dalton from the US also had a harrowing ordeal out in the open waters of the Great Barrier Reef. They too were left behind by their dive boat and spent 20 hours in the open water. The pair huddled together to try and stay warm, and neither of them ever mentioned the word shark. A huge rescue mission went ahead to find the couple, who say that the experience definitely brought them closer together. They ended up selling their story, and when the Premier of Queensland at the time, Anna Bligh, heard about this, she said that it would be good form for them to donate some of their money. Considering what they went through, the only people that should pay for the rescue mission are the ones that left them behind in the first place. Number 7. Safety first. Three friends were excited to dive down into Snake Wall, located in the waters of Georgia Strait. The three divers from Washington State were keen to explore the depths of this popular diving site. Names were not released, but sadly 2 of the divers did not return from the underwater expedition, and to this date, no one knows what actually happened below the surface. Number 6. Lost and Found. Here's a creepy story, submitted by team-pterodactyl on Reddit. Tells the story of how a diver found a body on the ocean floor. Off the Florence, Oregon coast, he and some friends went for a dive, and were not expecting to find a surfer that had gone missing a few days prior. The surfer had been exposed to crabs and fish and was basically just a torso, skull, and skeletal limbs, while all exposed bits were fish food. Number 5. Movies are made from this. This tragic tale was actually made into a movie and features the story of Tom and Eileen Lonergan, who went missing in 1998. The couple were diving on the Great Barrier Reef and their tour boat accidentally left them behind. Nobody realized they were missing for 3 whole days. Search parties were sent out, but the couple could not be found. 17 aircraft, helicopters, and boats were dispatched to find the couple, but the search was fruitless. They searched for many days until they eventually found Eileen's wetsuit and a diver's slate begging for help. Sadly, the bodies were never recovered and it was assumed they were devoured by sharks. The 2003 movie Open Water was all about this exact incident. Number 4. Dive in. You might be surprised to learn that there is a society that exists called the Paranormal Divers. It's the job of these divers to go underwater to look for anything paranormal. They claim to have taken the world's first photo of an underwater ghost. One diver claims to have had heard screams coming from the bottom of a cavern they were diving in, and snapped this image which they believe looks like a diver's face mask. Number 3. Double tragedy. This tragic tale took place in Bushman's Cave in South Africa, when in 1994, Deon Dreyer drowned. He was 20 at the time and had already accomplished 200 dives. Sadly, the body was never found, and his parents left a commemorative plaque at the cave. A decade later, while diving in the cave, David Shaw discovered the body in depths of 890 feet. He and his friend Don Shirley went back to try and recover the body. Things went really badly for the men as Shaw lost his light below the surface and became tangled in the ropes they were using to hoist the body up, and Shirley had his equipment malfunction. Shirley developed a helium bubble, lost consciousness, and was spinning, disoriented and struggled immensely to try to get out of the cave. He was trapped in the water for 10 hours without realizing that his friend Shaw didn't make it. Shirley suffered permanent damage in the process, and eventually the body of Shaw did float to the surface with the body of Dreyer attached. They did achieve what they set out to, but at an unimaginable cost. Number 2. Mysterious circumstances. There's still confusion about what exactly happened with Bethany Farrell, a 23-year-old student who passed on during her first scuba dive. She was so excited for this amazing opportunity, but things went horribly wrong. She somehow got separated from her instructor, and within half an hour, she was lying on the seabed, no longer alive. When investigations were taking place, her family wanted all her photos from the day of the tragedy, and strangely, every single photo from the boat had been deleted. No foul play was suspected, but it doesn't explain why all those images are gone. Number 1. Foul play. This is a story that captured the attention of media across the world. It only involved a newlywed couple who went off on their honeymoon and only one returned. The image that was captured was purely accidental, but it says everything. You see the lifeless body of Tina Watson on the seabed floor. Her husband Gabe was accused of orchestrating it. They were diving near a shipwreck in Townsville, Australia, when Tina became distressed and reached for Gabe's oxygen mask. Her husband, who was an experienced diver and who had also had a rescue qualification, did nothing to help her. Instead, he watched as she sank downwards and swam toward the surface. The coroner stated that Gabe switched her air off and then switched it back on when he pushed her down, knowing she wouldn't make it. He was found guilty and had to spend a few years in jail in Australia. He has since remarried to someone who bears a strong resemblance to his former wife. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to hit like and subscribe for more daily videos.